it's good that the Black Eyed Peas like changed that from the original one, which was just let's get retarded in here, and then everyone was like, oh wow, that's in really bad taste. Like, oh, let's get started in here. Oh, well then that's fine.
Yeah, that was a pretty dumb song to begin with, and just having the radio edit version was a lot better than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and I sure as hell am glad that that music hasn't sunk to that low of a level yet. I mean, we're at a point where just basically saying fuck in the club as many times as you can and not actually having a rhyming scheme are fine, but at least we're not gone that far.
Well, that's very debatable. Very debatable. You gotta pop the 40s and go on the G6s in the club.
Fucking all the bitches, getting all the monies, fuck all the popos, driving in their show foes, I guess. I'm not even... we're almost at a point where the lingo doesn't even need to make sense. We just say sounds, and then people will just assume what we are saying. Like, oh, he's talking about getting some pancakes over at the delicatessen down the street.
3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to episode 132. That's correct, the 132 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast with Splinter 47.
And myself, C.H. Gorog, off to the here. And it's good to be back, everybody. It's been a while, and it's...
I feel that that's a tagline for every episode we do. It's like, it's been a while. So I have to actually look back again. It's probably been only like a week or a week and a half, but...
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty consistent. It was only this and the last episode where we haven't been doing it weekly, where we took off a little bit of time, and I mean, it's fair for us to get a little break now and then, just because I'm wrapping up my semester here at UNCW, and Splinter, you actually have a job, which is something that I cannot brag about, so nobody can ever take that away from you, because you actually have responsibilities and things to do, and then I'm just over here working on my essays and such. So you know what, we love doing it. We love doing it, this podcast, and we try to do it every week, but sometimes things just don't add up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, and yeah, we usually don't. Yeah, we have a usually when we don't correspond with each other over text, it's usually probably when we're up to something and we've just been busy and just, yeah, like you said, we've just been up to our own shenanigans here and there. And then, like you said, it's just, yeah, whenever we can, we record it, and then we really appreciate those who stuck with us, even though we sometimes don't announce when we're going to or not going to record. But I always try to keep you guys updated on the Twitter channel right there. It's not YouTube. On the Twitter page of mine at Splinter 47, I always try to keep you guys updated on what's going on. Mm-hmm. So you can always follow me there. Yeah, that's a nice little plug for me.
Absolutely.
Podcast updates. So yeah, hopefully people will get it back into the rhythm of things and see where we go. Even though like the last week we probably could have done an episode, but I've been texting you by and messing up sending the wrong number to you just by that area code I was telling you about. So that's why we probably didn't record last week. So and plus I wasn't sure if I would feel up to it, because I didn't play any games last week at all. It's just been catching up on a lot of things that I needed to take care of, because I got a new phone and been reading as well. I'm trying to finish up my reading, because I hate that I keep buying books and then I don't read them. So I have like 2 books on the backlog I gotta get done, and I'm still trying to finish up this 4th book in the Song of Fire and Ice series, which is which will probably be the next season of Game of Thrones. I mean, the season that's going on right now is based off of Storm of Swords, and which I've heard that this season is going to be split up into 2 parts because that third book is pretty big. It's a pretty big book. So look, I like seeing things unravel what I've read on the screen, whether it be the big screen or the small screen. It's very interesting feeling that you get when you read something and see it come to life. I haven't experienced that a lot because in my younger days I was too lazy to read and I didn't like reading, but now I enjoy it. It's a nice mental escape, much like the world of video games. Get swept away into the stories and the mythos, the lore of such great genres of entertainment.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is definitely one of those franchises that can go beyond the kind of stereotypical demographic, like, this is just for nerds, or this is just for for the medieval sword and sorcery aficionados, where it's transcending a lot of barriers of that, to the point where it's really become mainstream, and then it's become such a huge cultural phenomenon, kind of like Star Wars in its own way, and similar to that, very much like Bioshock Infinite, where there's a film guy that I know. He's not really into video games, but he's absolutely loving the hell out of Bioshock Infinite in terms of just like, oh wow, he'll come out of his shell to play that every once in a while. It's like, this is great. We just had about an hour-long conversation discussing the entire story of it, and it's. I really think that's a sign of a great product, or a great piece of storytelling, where you can anybody from any background can come into it and like it, where there's something in there for everybody.
Yeah, it's good that it's such a material that it can work for TV, and garners such a huge fan base, because I know what I'm saying. I lost my train of thought, but at first glance, when you look at it on paper, the type of kind of material that's in that book is very like dark fantasy. You just don't see that type of. You wouldn't think it would be as successful as it is, but it's garnered a lot of huge fan bases, doing pretty good gangbusters for HBO. Much like that for AMC and The Walking Dead. But even though I have my gripes against it, I probably will not watch the next season. I'll say it right here now. I'm getting a bit tired of it now.
No, absolutely. The ending of the Walking Dead for this season kind of left me like, okay, whatever. It's they got that, but I just haven't. I've been spoiled by Telltale's version of The Walking Dead, just because that one was so deftly made, with so many great characters that didn't rely on broad stereotypes or cliches, and unlike the TV show, the deaths in here are surprising. Just because in the TV show, it's like, oh, one character has a huge boost of character development out of nowhere for the entire episode. Oh, I guess that character's going to die. Where spoiler, cover your ears for 15 seconds. At the beginning of this season 3 of The Walking Dead, where T-Dog departs, where it's we never knew him as a character to even miss him, because he's like, I guess he's just gone, and it's really sad and unfortunate that they don't really build up these characters at all, because that's what horror really is, where you come to love and know these characters on an intimate level, and then when they're taken away, it's shocking and surprising.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong when characters die and you don't feel anything for them, because they weren't really written really well. Even the one with I'll say it again, spoilers, but with the death of Sophia, I didn't get too much empathy out of that. Maybe it's because I'm very desensitized when it comes to the the violence and stuff that's going on in these shows or games and stuff. But yeah, if she was a better developed character, I probably would have shed a tear. Oh,
no worries. But that's the thing where I don't think it's you're desensitized to violence. I don't think that's we're desensitized to violence. I think it's that they don't know how to write characters on that show, where they're just they don't know how to approach character developments and character relationships. Where Sophia was not a character; she was just a child on the show, and they were just pointing to her and saying, "You feel for this, for the loss, or the unknown. Where is she?" Mentality of the group, just because she's a child, and therefore you should feel sympathy. And while you can feel sympathy on a macro level, if you don't develop your characters, there's no real way to feel that loss on a personal level. And in comparison to that, you have The Walking Dead, where every time a character bites the dust, you feel it. You realize that their voice isn't there, and the world is that much quieter for it. And that's what makes it hard. And with the show, it's just they're really copping out because they want to have broad appeal by not really showing any meaningful. I talked about this before. They don't really have any meaningful morality choices to make, unlike in the game where it's two gray areas. Where in this one it's like the better of two evils. You don't have the interesting dynamic or tension with the group that you did with the video game, where the TV show felt very manufactured. We're like, what's his name? Like we have Merle in the group now, just to ratchet up tension with him and Stephen Young's character. I can't remember. Oh shoot, Glenn. Yes, Glenn. Where that seemed like it was just there just for his arc, and it doesn't feel like they've kind of got their voices now, but it's still not nowhere near as good as Telltale's version, and especially with the child characters. 'Cause Carl's fucking annoying, where the only thing that he does is he's a badass character, but badass does not mean a good character. Where you could have characters doing cool things. It's what I call the Boba Fett syndrome, where you have this one character who everyone thinks looks cool or acts cool, or just has a very interesting sort of kick-ass action scenes. But
a little hookup in the system. For some reason, just my browser crashed on me, so it's just closed out everything, even the Google Hangout there. So we're back again here. So we were talking about critiquing the hell out of The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. So it's strange just because AMC has Breaking Bad and Mad Men, which are character dramas. Breaking Bad is a little bit more kind of a genre piece where it's crime sort of thriller, and that's interesting. And The Walking Dead could really have been this really fascinating look at humanity and not really what the comic was about, because the comic I think was too nihilistic. I think it was too dark and depressing, and I know that subject matter kind of needs to be there for an apocalyptic story like this, but it's it doesn't need to go. When you go too far, it's almost satirizing what you were starting out with, which is why I love the first episode of The Walking Dead. I thought it was like, wow, this is incredible. I don't even like zombie stories, and this is great. And then it just kind of like, we forgot how to write characters. And then, from then on out, it was this kind of wandering, kind of meandering sort of sense of like, we don't know which way is a good way to have interesting stories, and it's just too bad because it could have been something really interesting.
Yeah, that's just it is what it is. I mean, it's still an alright show for the success it has. It's just I have my minor gripes here and there, but I just kind of lost interest in it. That's all it is. But I'm enjoying the hell out of Mad Men actually, because I finally caught up on season 5, finished all that because that recently was on Netflix. It was available on Netflix. I got back on Netflix just to see it, and then I just saw the 2-hour premiere the other couple of days ago, and then I'm completely caught up with that. Enjoying the heck out of that. I like to do some sort of discussion on that show, but yeah, it's
I would need to catch up because I am really far behind. I'm in the middle of the second season.
Yeah,
I think.
you're pretty far off there. But yeah, I mean, it was, I messaged you about. You didn't probably get the message, but I had ideas of you and I getting started on a show. We have to pick a certain show that's going to probably be new or something, because you can't just like go back and catch up on everything. But yeah, some sort of show we can do some sort of discussion on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So that would be pretty interesting, just to kind of mix it up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Where there's phenomenal shows on Netflix right now, and one that I really love was that I'm watching right now is The West Wing, and I'm at the middle and tail end of season 4. I mean, I got to recommend that one, because even if you don't like politics, you can definitely dig this show, where it's all about sort of the drama behind it. It has Martin Sheen as the elusive man himself as the president, and everybody else in there is just spot on. I really can't. It's one of the best shows that I've ever seen, and the strange thing is there doesn't seem to be a weak episode. Everything seems to really flow into each other. Like, there's ones that I prefer, and then versus ones that I think like, it's all right. But
right.
There's never been one where I was like, wow, it's none of them were like, it didn't have that Archer moment where it's like, oh wow, this is a really, really bad episode in a great show. And speaking of Archer, I've kind of really gone down on Archer. That phrasing, I know, bad phrasing there, but that show was great. I liked the opener for season 3, where it's the Heart of Archness one, and then it's just this third season, and then the fourth one's like, okay, they don't really know what to do, because I don't think Adam Reed has ever really thought ahead, because like his only other work was C-Lab 2021, where it was, we're just making. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say a lot of his work hasn't really lasted that long past like a certain number of seasons, and I think that's probably why would have helped those shows if they had a certain set amount of seasons, and then kind of move on and do something else, because you can only do so much, and then just kind of run out of ideas and end up kind of becoming pretty stale after a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just needed to focus on, I don't know, story thread ideas, because they were hinting at like, story's now kind of important to the Adam Reed universe, which has never really been the case, because C-Lab 2021 was, just like sketch comedy. Like, let's make ridiculous things, and with Frisky Dingo, it was like, they're trying to get story in there, but it's mostly just about the laughs. And then they did 2 episodes of The Exticles.
Oh, and shit. I love that. I love those 2 episodes. I was a big fan of The Exticles, yeah.
Adam Reed certainly knows how to make great shows when he has his set of ideas, but when he goes on for too long, as shown with C-Lab 2021, when the voice actor who played Captain Murphy died, they're like, we don't know what to do, and so they were just throwing shit at the wall, hoping to God something stuck, and unfortunately it was like, wow, this is just really bad. And then that's kind of same with Archer, where it's like, you could have, it's a big hit, and I feel great for him, just like, because I love the fact that he has this really strange sort of humor, where it's pop culture references that are no longer popular, really highbrow humor, like they quote Bartleby the Scrivener, and then they have just the lowest, crass denominator, humor that they have in there, with a lot of sex and violence jokes, and it was this perfect blend. The first season, I think, is near flawless. And then the second one, it's like, this is, you're starting to falter a little, but it's still really, really good. And then the third was like, you guys are kind of going down. It's the M. Night Shyamalan path, where it's like, they start out incredible, and then as time goes on, it's like, I can see your bag of tricks that you're using, and, they just, I'd like them to maybe stop and just, end on a high note.
Yeah, I hear you. I've only seen the first season, and I liked what I saw the first season. But that with Archer and a lot of shows I used to watch, I end up just not being able to catch up and just a lot of seasons behind, and I just kind of give up and don't bother trying to catch up. Yeah, that was one of them. But I like what I saw for the first season. But yeah,
it's fairly interesting just how with different mediums. It's like, okay, for movies, it's movie by movie basis of like franchises for people to kind of test the waters, and if they have a big flop on their hands with one of their film iterations, then it just kind of stops if people aren't really taking to it. But with television, it can be like, okay, they're going downhill, and if people don't like it, they'll still keep going for a little while just to see if interest spikes back up, and then if not, then they'll just cancel it. With video games, because they take so long to develop, and if people don't immediately like the product, that franchise is pretty much dead. Like I would like to say like the 2008 version of Prince of Persia, whereas it was like this beautiful cell shading. I love the Zoroastrian religion aspect that they had to it, and it was just I thought it was a beautiful game. The gameplay it could have been better, but it's like, wow, I love the exploration mechanics. I love the hopping around and having just a grand old time, and then it just didn't sell, and then it didn't sell as they hoped, and people didn't really take to it as well as another Prince of Persia game. So they just said like, okay, we'll get rid of this, and they haven't really talked about it since. There's rumor of a new Prince of Persia game coming out, maybe, but as for a sequel to the 2008 version of Prince of Persia, I don't think it's ever coming out.
Yeah, games are pretty tough of business. Or they're a pickle punch there. That's the word of the day here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. We'll be screaming when we say that word, Pee-wee's Playhouse style.
Yeah, you said the magic word. We just need to get Cowboy Curtis on to come on just to talk about the magic word of the day, and just to stop on by to say hello to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so speaking of things that can last a long time, Criterion, the studio known for working on Black and Road Rash, Need for Speed, and Burnout, they've got the creative director Alex Ward has said that after over a decade from his Twitter account, has said, after over a decade of making racing games, it's time we make something new. It is early days, thus I have nothing to announce or talk about. And I'm really interested, just because Criterion has always been that company who's churned out a steady stream of great games, and always been put everything into it, even if the games haven't come out 100%. It's very, very interesting. It's I'd love to see them work on a sequel to Black, which is that gun crazy shooter from last generation, which people really like. It's like, wow, this is a surprisingly fun game, and I definitely think since EA has had some problems with publicity as of late, with SimCity, and also being voted the worst company in America, they could definitely use a good press by funding whatever the hell Criterion wants to work on.
Yeah, I look forward to what they have in store. They've been probably under the same route as DICE as well. They've been kind of making the same game for a couple of years. It looks like Criterion's been making mainly racing games, but I think Black was going to kind of something else that they broke out of that mold. And yeah, I've heard interesting things about it. I never played Black.
Yeah, Black was fun. It was not like, oh, you need to own it right now. It wasn't like the Halo Combat Evolved.
Wasn't a console seller.
It was not the console seller. It was not the I was just thinking about like really interesting console launches that never really went anywhere, and one of the ones I was thinking about was Brute Force. That game was like, oh, we're edgy, and we'll make sure that Microsoft sells their system. It's like nobody paid attention to it. Like the only person who even talked about it was my buddy Austin back when we were, I think, in middle school. Where he was like, yeah, this is gonna be the best one ever because you get a giant lizard and there's cloning in it. Like, I don't think people are gonna take to it. I just have this feeling, and then it just didn't happen.
I only recall like Vampire Reign was, I think it was probably one of those early launch games for the 360, which was completely one of the worst games for that 360 when it first came out. Like the first year, it was like from the gameplay I've seen there's like a blend of Splinter Cell and like you killing vampires, but like the gameplay was pretty bad, and It was just a very shoddy version like of Chaos Theory, but with like it was more action oriented. It's just like a weird blend of things that didn't work well together.
You know what's interesting is Assassin's Creed 3 had the George Washington becomes a tyrant DLC. Red Dead Redemption has Undead Nightmare. How would you like Splinter Cell Blacklist if it had a single-player DLC that came out where you play as Sam Fisher hunting down vampires?
I'll be down for that. I mean, if it's a good lengthy little side story to add to the already awesome fiction of Splinter Cell and having it be just something out of the ordinary, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's if it's optional DLC there. I mean, there's a lot of games have certainly gone that route with Sleeping Dogs, Red Dead, like you mentioned, and just these other out of the realm of possibility compared to the actual game DLCs where they mix things up a bit and add a lot newer elements to it that you wouldn't really see in the actual core game.
Yeah, I mean, with DLC, I feel like it should be experiences that aren't that really shouldn't be add-ons to the overall experience. It should have a different flavor to it, which is why I really, really love Mass Effect 3's Citadel DLC, because it's a more lighthearted action comedy, tongue-in-cheek sort of a humorous adventure through the Citadel, and you're just having just a grand old time, and that's why I really liked it, and that's why in Mass Effect 2, the Lair of the Shadow Broker was so great, was because it was the main game was kind of this this seedy underbelly of the universe trying to get these people together through. It was kind of like the Ocean's 11 almost of getting your troop together and then going out, and then with Lair of the Shadow Broker, it's a much more personal story, and I really like that, and I think that single player DLC should try to strive for that kind of model where it's respectful for the original content, but it also has something different to say.
Exactly. Have you ever talked about the Mass Effect 3 DLC from you? Or did I already talk about it?
We did talk about I remember that we did talk about the Citadel DLC a while ago, but actually, now that I'm saying this out loud, I don't think that maybe went into complete detail with. So, do you want to get into it?
I mean, I think I discussed most of what I liked about it. I'm just trying to recall whether you had discussed your experience with it. Might be. We probably might have. We're just probably repeating ourselves, but just for the sake of my curiosity, what did you think of the Citadel DLC for the most part? Like, what was your kind of favorite moment that you probably would like to discuss? But I guess in some detail. If that makes sense.
I really like the Citadel DLC. I like the fact that it was more lighthearted and within the narrative. It doesn't make too much sense in the narrative, like, oh, you should take a break where the whole galaxy is at war. But I thought that it was a nice break. I didn't have as big of a problem with it as other reviewers were like, oh, this makes no sense. Why would you do that? I felt like, okay, we're taking a break, even though it's kind of okay, stretching a little bit of the plausibility. They explained it away with saying, oh, you guys need to have rest and to recharge your batteries, because if you're constantly getting armies together for the war, you're not going to have time to sleep or to even just let off some steam. And because if you allow yourself that little moment of disbelief, you get so much out of it. I loved the Citadel DLC. I absolutely had a blast with it. I thought that the storyline of the person who was running around trying to kill Shepard was a very, very funny and interesting. Not funny as much as a very fascinating kind of introspective look at Shepard himself or herself, and just kind of everything is kind of spoken in this allegorical language of what Shepard and the Mass Effect series means to everybody. I like the fact that this one was very comical, because almost everybody gets their chance to shine in the dialogue and just have just a really fun time. Even Trainer, for goodness sake, it's not that I didn't like Trainer. It's like, oh, okay, you're part of the crew, welcome aboard, you're nice, you're good. but in the Citadel DLC, she gets a couple of moments to actually come out of her shell, and I really like the fact and the when you're done with that story, the party you can throw. I love that. I love just all the interactions with everybody. Like that was. It's basically just like the greatest fan fiction ever written, and then BioWare just wrote it for us. It's great. I love the character interactions with everybody. I also love the virtual battleground that you can be a part of, where you can fight different waves of enemies, where you don't have to just play a story mission to actually enjoy it. Where you can just like set up. Oh, I want to fight against Cerberus on this planet. And I'll have Ashley or characters who, like, in the story you don't have access to because they're off doing something else. Like, I'll have Liara and Rex together with me just to fight off the bad guys. And then, that was really fun. I enjoyed, and I really, really enjoyed the hell out of it. I would say, out of all the Mass Effect DLC, I have to even say that this for me is better than Shadowbroker. That's high praise, and so I really enjoyed Citadel.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. When I initially discussed it and played it, I easily put it up there with Shadow Broker. It's definitely up there in terms of just being able to just have a lot of access to characters that you weren't able to have originally in the third one, in the original main game. And just seeing them interact with other your crew members a bit more fluidly than usually when you just don't say anything to each other, which is what I always kind of took me out a little bit sometimes in 2, because like you would take somebody and they didn't really make much of a comment on it, but I like how they acknowledge sometimes when you pick certain members of your crew. I think there was like one or two couple scenes like, oh man, I never get picked.
And for me, that was always Javik. Just because, listen, I don't like your attitude. You need to ship up and fly right, and actually, for God's sakes, talk to these people. Just because, if you want to be on missions, you better start acting like a good friend and start having drinks with everybody and having a good time. Even things that have, even though it makes no sense to be a good soldier, you should do that.
Yeah, have a personality. You might get somewhere in life.
Mm-hmm.
Might be on my crew. I don't know about anything else, but yeah, be on my crew at least.
I don't even care if you're better than everybody else in terms of like combat skills. If you're not a good socializing person, then really I can't really talk to you then.
Amen. Words to live by.
Yeah, so Criterion Games. Just moving away from that one. Hold on, I had something. I had something for this. Let's talk about EA and the fact that they got voted worst company in America.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I do think it's a bit of hyperbole in terms of like, okay, we're not Halliburton. We're not. They're not pumping oil into the Gulf of Mexico. They're not, working on screwing over people with home loans. But I do think that this, at the very least, has to force them to change their practices, because there's a lot of people saying like, oh, you shouldn't really. I mean, there's a lot of people who just went over. I don't even. It was a website, The Columnist, the Economist. I don't remember what the website is for this for the poll of what the worst company in America is, but EA has frequently ignored its customer base through legitimate means, where people were complaining about the fact that SimCity was just absolutely abysmal, that nobody really wanted the Dead Space 3 stuff, that they just have so many problems going up, and then they never address it, or at the very least they make their developers address it. Like they had Maxis as the people who were apologizing for SimCity, and then they were just kind of sitting out on the sidelines. So at the very least, this has to say, okay, we need to address this so we don't get voted worst company in America again, which is kind of why I think Riccatello was kicked out at the very least. And I don't think that I don't think that he's a bad person, but I think that he just had a lot of bad business senses. And with at the very least, we can they can see like, okay, we need to make our sponsorship happy, or else we'll get. I mean, it's the worst type of voicing your concerns, but at the very least, they're being voiced and being heard now.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the key in order to at least have some sort of changes, at least for a little for the better in terms of how they kind of their business practices. I mean, their games they put out are not bad. It's just that they have these just very not very sensical or just very customer friendly, just business ways to go about things with just these already, including all that DR. The DRM with SimCity it's already one of those the big things that is going on, and just the other things with just these little small microtransactions slowly but surely starting to make its way towards the games, and hopefully not developing a trend of that, since we're already paying a good chunk of change for the games we get now. So just having it set up in a way where it's not required yet, but it's optional, but you still end up spending a bit more chunk of change if you do end up getting into that, which you shouldn't support it, just to let them know that it's not something that you would support. So but it's hard to get a nice conglomerate group of people to band together and not do that.
Right. It's difficult, but at the very least, the concerns for the business practices are being addressed in a time where a lot of these big companies like EA, Activision, and at a point in time we had I can't even remember them because they're it's out of my mind right now. But THQ, when they incorporated, and Ubisoft, where they incorporated business practices. Where they incorporate business practices where they think, okay, we'll just write out the criticism and we don't really have to address anything. And now people are starting to, have a lot more say in what's going on. And of course, they're still not doing the most important form of protest, which is to not buy their games. But a lot of times where people will buy the game and then they won't be happy with it. And the problem is that you can't return it for a refund. You need to, when you go back to Best Buy or GameStop, they say, oh, can I have? I don't like this game, or can I return this for in-store credit? And they say, no, the only thing that we can do is give you a new copy. And so that's just like, I don't even know how to even deal with that. I can understand why a lot of video game pundits are like, oh, this is overreacting and people shouldn't do this, but at the very end of the day, it's like the regular customer who doesn't have a lot of free time to voice their concerns isn't going to, that might be their only way to actually just go with their gut and say like, okay, I'll just vote against these guys instead of just being one of the many emails just get ignored. I'll vote on this thing that will get them to notice me finally.
Right. I don't know. For some reason, when people send not emails, but like actual letters through the mailbox, things seem to get done every now and then. Even when people complain about something they saw on TV, whether somebody somebody said a curse word on TV, then it gets us all in this. One person complains, and then the thing starts to things start changing with the whole FCC getting involved, and it's a tough one there in terms of games, because it's not like the movies where you'll most likely get a refund if you didn't like the movie. I believe that's the case, or some sort of issue goes on with the projector or something like that. But yeah, with games, you're probably playing it to the very end, so you kind of got most of your mileage out of it. So it's kind of hard to kind of get anything back for it or store credit. But it's always eBay.
Yeah, yes, indeed. But you're not going to get that $60 refund that you buy right out of the gate.
No, but I mean, at least you take a loss of $20, so you kind of think about it in a way where you spend sort of $25 at least on that game, and you got at least a $40 40, 35 back. I like to see it that way.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I know money's tight.
But then you play that money tag on eBay where it's like, I don't have enough money to buy this game, so here I'll sell these 2 games that I have and not really played so long, and then I'll pay for that, and then I'll get the new game. You know, it's a very interesting method of figuring out how to best balance your budget.
Hell yeah. I think there's actual some sort of game or some sort of thing that's on Steam where it teaches you how to balance your money, or how to handle your money, which I think a lot of people probably need to play that. I certainly do.
Yeah, it's
yeah. I don't know if it's an actual game or some sort of game that's it could be very educational for your health. Dr. Steve Rule for your health.
It's bad for you. Shouldn't you know that?
Got guacamole.
Guacamole. I'm interested in that game. Too bad I don't have a Vita or a PS3 for that. But there's always somewhere else.
There's always a review of that on the Better Gaming Bureau website if you're interested. Wink, wink.
Yes, indeed. It's I'm also speaking of games getting their due, or in some cases not getting their due, Sega has actually decided to do a wise move. Do you know what that is?
What is that, good sir?
It is that they are canceling the Wii U version of Aliens Colonial Marines, which is one of the few surprising things, like going along our thought process of game companies finally listening to their aggravated fan base, where everybody almost universally panned the game, and after so many years of development, and so now Sega has just decided to nerf the entire thing, which is like, wow, that is terrific, because now Wii U players don't have to suffer through that. If it was like Konami or something like that, you bet your ass they would like keep going through that.
Yeah, they definitely release it.
I mean, they would release, like, they would have all that bad press and just say, okay, any bad press is good press, and like probably put that on the game cover where it's like, I couldn't stand it, Jonathan Holmes on Destructoid, or wow, it almost made my eyes bleed, Jason from Spill.com.
Yeah, I mean, if Konami had the rights to, they probably would have released that demo we saw, that very early demo of Splinter Cell Conviction where Sam Fisher was a hobo. I mean, I'd be curious to play that. It's probably only a good 20 minutes long, and probably wouldn't get me money's worth. But hey, it's just out of curiosity. I'd like to actually play that very early on demo of Conviction. Man, that was so long ago. Just how drastically it changed to the original game we got now. That was just a side note tangent there.
Shoot, hold on.
Yeah, it would have cost Sega money anyway if they published that game on the Wii U. It probably wouldn't have done that well.
Yeah, it definitely sounds. I'm sorry.
Especially with the reviews, it probably wouldn't have sold as much if it did well critically, probably.
Well, on the flip side of things receiving critical acclaim or lauding comments, how are you doing? In a positive way, how are you doing with Injustice: Gods Among Us?
Oh man, what a segue!
What a segue indeed! It crashed right into the building right there.
Well, yeah, I got Injustice yesterday. To be honest with you, I did not plan. I didn't plan to actually get it. I had my second thoughts on it. I was like, maybe I'll get it when cheaper, and then I pre-ordered it 2 weeks ago on GameStop, and then I was like, oh yeah, they'll charge me $5 if I don't go and pick it up. And I decided, well, rather than take the $5 hit, I'm gonna go in and pay $60 for the game so I can play it. rather than getting charged $5 for not getting it. Yeah, I do something dumb and opposite and just buy it. But no, I'm enjoying it so far. It's it's made by NetherRealm. They did in Mortal Kombat, the recent revitalization of Mortal Kombat 9 there. So it's got some of the basic elements of Mortal Kombat. With the it's got the good old kind of King of the Hill type of mode in there for the DC characters. It's got a single player campaign where it's very similar to Mortal Kombat. How you look watching these cutscenes and then you transition to each DC character that you play as, and progress through the story that way, and it gives you a nice little taste of what each character does, and get used to them, and after you beat it, and then go on to the single player matches or the multiplayer matches, and it's got a pretty interesting story. I think the campaign took me about 4 or 5 hours. Not a very long campaign, but it was a nice kind of little side story here that gets you through the kind of fundamentals of the fighting mechanics and things like that. It's very standalone. It's if you're looking to play this thinking it might be exactly like Mortal Kombat, it's really not the case. It has its own mechanics that makes it its own, and it seems to be. It seems to me it's a bit more accessible fighting game than Mortal Kombat is. It's there's a lot of environmental attacks you can do in that more than you can do in Mortal Kombat. Like you can, if you're fighting in a certain arena, there's usually things going on in the background. You can interact with the background, like have like Batman kick the Joker into like a background. Like if it's if you see the Batmobile off in the far distance of the background, you can if you get the prompt, if you're close to it, and you can click on the tap on the right bumper, and then Batman will kick the Joker right into the background, and then he bounces back there. I thought, which is pretty cool. Nice touches there, and a lot of cool super moves with each DC character. My favorite is the Flash, because he goes around the world and then gives you a nice Falcon punch. It was a very over exaggerated super move, but it's pretty awesome. There's one with Batman throws a smoke pellet at somebody, and then he tasers he gets 2 tasers, and then zaps the enemy in the neck, and then he throws a batarang, jumps backwards, and the Batmobile comes out of nowhere and runs over the guy. It's just, oh man, there's a lot going on with these super moves, and
that sounds fairly awesome. I hope that Mortal Kombat 9 actually tries to incorporate some of those super moves. I'm sorry, I don't mean super moves, because Mortal Kombat always has those great classic finishers, like Scorpion's Spear or Sub-Zero's ice attack, but some of the background stuff, I've been actually fairly. Is it hard to initiate the background stuff, or is it fairly intuitive?
Oh, it's pretty easy. Just a tap of the right bumper. Usually, will get the. If you're within a certain distance of it, it's really easy to get it done. I think, and usually when there's if you're in a certain level, there's usually things that correspond with that level. Like if you're in the Batcave, you can go on the very far right, and as you're fighting, you can hit the right bumper to interact with the environment. You can have the Batmobile turn on its missiles and shoot your enemy. Well, if you hit the right bumper, or I think a Metropolis level where there's coming some flying. There's either cars in the background there that you can grab out and throw, or dumpsters and zeppelins. So that's pretty cool. There's always a lot of you can always initiate these pretty frequently. There's a lot of it going on, and you can always take advantage of that and get a pretty good amount of damage done to the enemy if you're in a jiffy. I don't know. I did pretty decently in the story mode. There wasn't any enemy in there that was like Shao Kahn, where it was a pain in the ass. You just a very spam enemy. A lot of it was pretty straightforward. It wasn't very. A lot of the fights weren't pretty difficult. I mean, I lost a couple of them. I'm not saying I'm good, because I'm definitely not good at finding games. I have to get back into that rhythm of remembering combos. But all in all, it's a good fighting game with DC characters in it. And if you're into DC characters, you'll probably dig it a lot. That's where a lot of the it factor comes in for that. It's just if you're really a DC fan, I mean, some of the characters I'm not too familiar with. I know of them, but I don't know anything about their background or anything like Shazam or Black Adam or those kind of characters. But there's a lot of the
Is Killer Moth in there?
Killer Moth? I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. We've got Bane, at least. Bane, Harley Quinn.
Oh, nice.
The some of the rogues gallery for Batman, and some of the enemies for Superman, and Sinestro, Green Lantern. Just a pretty decent roster there. Nightwing. What else we got? Wonder Woman. Just some of the kind of the main Justice League characters, and along with their counterparts involved, and Lex Luthor in that, and yeah, it's a very, very good, enjoyable fighting game. I'm a little bit on the fence about the block on this one, because it doesn't have a actual block button. You're actually just kind of moving backwards in the direction to block. So I'm still trying to get used to that. I'm not very good at it because I always end up. There are a lot of moves where I can easily block them, but I just don't, because I'm so used to hitting a button to block like in Mortal Kombat, but I always just take the hits there, and that's how I end up losing some of those matches. I don't know if you could do this in Mortal Kombat 9, but I've gone into a couple situations where I knew I was going to lose, and there's no way I was going to bounce back from this. Like, all right, let me just restart this thing, and then so I don't have to sit through this whole animation of the winner doing his thing after the match. It's like I don't think there is a restart during the middle of the match, so you're gonna have to go fight your way through it until you either win or lose, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, balancing for challenge and skill is fairly hard in a fighting game, because you want it to be deep enough so that the hardcore crowd can have something to gravitate towards and latch on to, but then you want it to be casual enough to where regular people can pull it off and have just a grand old time doing it.
I think it's fairly casual, but it's enough to make a scene in those kind of professional fighting game tournaments. I could see it being up there, but not as in the top of Marvel vs. Capcom, those kind of games. But I could see it making its way into the tournaments. So it's very, very good fighting game. If you like what NetherRealm does in terms of the fighting games, I think you'll enjoy this. They're just take into effect that there are some elements that aren't quite in there. That was from Mortal Kombat, just like that the block button is not there, and just about everything else. I mean, if you can accept not having a block button, I think you'll probably enjoy it. I'm still a little mixed on that. I'm still trying to get used to it, but it has a fairly decent enough tutorial to get you understanding the fundamentals of everything you can do in the game. There's a lot of the environment really is one of the key factors in that game. You can always do these kind of attacks where it bounces the character from one side of the screen to the other, and you can do these pretty interesting combos while the character's in midair, and if you're close enough to the side of either the left or right side of the screen, you can kick a character into another part of the level. So if you're in Arkham Asylum, you could kick Superman into the wall, and it goes through, and sometimes it's random. So I did one today, and then the Scarecrow was in in one room, and he grabs him, and then he does his whole shtick of injecting him with his fear toxin. So he just starts seeing things, and as that's going on, he takes a little bit of damage too if you do those environmental attacks, which is pretty cool. It's always something different. It's very environment oriented, so it's a lot of fun to see what you can do with the environment, and a lot of the vintage moves that comes with each character. That's very unique. That matches their whole shtick. Batman and his batarangs, and then the Green Lantern and using his ring to create a machine gun, and just variety of characters. That is very fun game.
Yeah. It does sound good, but for me right now, I'm playing a little bit of Tomb Raider, where it's the new reboot of the hit or miss series, where people were saying the only reason why she was popular in the first place was as a sex symbol, and that that really has become part of her identity. But I gotta say, this new Tomb Raider, I am digging the hell out of. I completed the campaign about a couple days ago, and I have to say it's really well paced. I love the character development of Lara Croft. I am really surprised at the just design of it. It's basically just it's I would say it's similar to Arkham Asylum, how there's several sections of this island that you're on, and you're just going in and out of different places looking for hidden skulls or pages of a logbook or ancient items to look at. And it's a fairly interesting story because unlike, at first it seems like, okay, you're not going to be doing you're going to be doing more kind of serious stuff, trying to get off an island that it's not really mythical or supernatural elements aren't going to be a part of it. But it actually turns out to, really play with that expectation, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it really comes well to fruition that I was like, wow, I am actually really glad that they took a risk on this. And, it's really good.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, it was certainly one that I almost purchased a while back too. It just, it seems like it's something that right up my alley. I'd probably enjoy a good third person platformer. Seemed like it'd be something up my alley. But yeah, it's good to hear that it lived up to some of the expectation I had, and it wasn't completely, as bad as people made it out to be when they started seeing some footage of it. Seeing Lara just get, beat the crap out of, and then using a shotgun to shoot things out of the way, and just taking so much.
Still is the termite shotgun in there, where it's like immediately things break apart, but it's still a really good game, and if there's two really big games that have changed how open adventure action games have been designed, they're going to be Bioshock and Arkham Asylum. In terms of Arkham Asylum sort of free roaming Metroidvania collecting, and then with Bioshock's audio logs and visual information and the consistency of the game world, I think, and they definitely deserve the praise that they've been given.
That's fantastic to hear. Good old Crystal Dynamics doing well by rebooting the series and starting from scratch initially. And yeah, I'd be curious to see if they'd be doing another one and see where they take the character once she's kind of she's been through her, she's earned her stripes in kicking ass.
Yeah, she definitely does kick ass, but some people say like she becomes too much of a warrior too quickly, but I have to say that her character development really necessitates that change, where she's this very, I wouldn't say weak, but she's this vulnerable woman trying to survive, and she adjusts to the situation trying to survive and protect her friends. And I would say it's there's some characters, there's side characters who are with her that they're not annoying, but they're not outstandingly developed, and they just seem sort of there. And I'd love to see them flesh out the entire cast a little bit more. But for this time around, an outstanding first outing. Yeah. I haven't played the multiplayer yet, but I heard it's not really worth the investment. Like, it's a single player that you want to be picking this up for.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with some of these games here and there. And yeah, I mean, I'm willing to always suspend my level of disbelief with some things. I don't know why people are just so critical about how things are they don't match the kind of continuity of kind of what goes on in the world or something like that. Just like with like the Mass Effect 3 DLC. I mean, it wasn't the incredibly best explanation of why your ship was grounded, but I thought it was believable enough to just so knowing the background of the whole thing, just like, all right, this is the final hoorah of DLC, so might as well give this a shot, give us a decent enough explanation on why, and then just kind of suspend your disbelief and not just kind of always analyze it too much and just kind of lose all enjoyment for it
It it it's especially strange because nowadays we're so focused on narrative cohesion with everything, where it's story as well as gameplay elements, that if something's amiss, we'll immediately notice it and call them out on it. Like this whole discussion on Bioshock Infinite being too violent, that it's taking away the themes of what the game was trying to convey. I don't believe that for one damn second. I think that the violence really contributes to the overall theme of this kind of placid sort of situation where there's underneath this violent and ugly sort of character. But a lot of people are saying, like, okay, that really doesn't. That's really this is cognitive dissonance with kind of what you presented. I imagine, like, was it Final Fantasy VII where Sephiroth kills. Spoiler alert, I guess, because it's. I don't want to say spoiler alert because, like, damn, it's been how many years since that game came out? But since he killed, Sephiroth killed the love interest. I can't remember what her name is, but it's like in the game she could take damage and punishment, and then or you have these characters who can withstand these huge blasts of fire, and then for some reason she gets killed with one sword, and then imagine that being released today, people would say, no, that's malarkey. Why is it that in a cutscene they can survive God knows how much damage, and in gameplay it's like, oh, I got hit once, I'm sent back 20 yards away, like with Devil May Cry 3, where Dante's just in cutscenes like kicking ass and getting like scythes through the chest, and he brushes off, but in the gameplay it's like, oh, I'm just basically just a human now.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you just kind of have to go with it and say, it's just a game. There's nothing wrong with, pointing out certain flaws in games and in TV shows. It just really depends on what exactly that flaw is. If it's just like that one thing and everything else about it is pretty solid and consistent, you shouldn't be too critical on it. I think the idea of a game being too violent, I thought it was a pretty interesting thing they brought up, especially from what I can recall, like in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which I have beaten that game finally. I'll let you know. Mm-hmm. The last time we spoke, I had trouble beating the boss, and I figured it out after 20 tries. I did it. That was the most proudest moment, I think, in recent memory of me beating a boss in the game. It was an intense fight. I think it's certainly one of the best bosses I've played this year. Mm-hmm. And they touch on themes of solving violence with violence. I thought that was a really good this little discussion there that that got brought up with writing. It's like, man, you're killing people to solve violence, but you're killing people. I thought that was a interesting little dilemma there to bring up. You got to solve violence with violence.
Yeah, the justification of violence, whether or not anything is even whether violence in and of itself is something that's inherently bad, or like what happens when you actually have people who enjoy violence, who are who enjoy the concept of murder, and not just for a cause, but just for in and of itself, who they won't be killing anybody who or who are innocent, but just, is it right to enjoy killing, even if like the people are terrible people? And it brings up a lot of interesting points of view, and I like the fact that it's sort of like a 70s film with like a Taxi Driver, or where you have like Apocalypse Now, where the morality is really blurred, and you definitely feel this case with Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, where it's okay, we're not going to tell you, we're not going to give you this really cookie cutter, easy to explain, oh, it was a dream all along, or oh, he was just under toxins or whatever. It's like, no, it's these character motivations, and you have to kind of deal with them. Like, does the good of that character outweigh the bad?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed that, how they touched upon those themes, and then after that we started slicing up dudes in half. So yeah,
most certainly. That is no doubt fun. It just slicing guys up and into tiny little pieces. And I think we'll set aside some time to talk about that in one episode, just to have a little mini review of Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, Revengeance, I really I liked it more than I initially thought I would. It's definitely Platinum's a great developer, and then it was just a very pleasant surprise that they made that work with Raiden and having it tie in pretty individually as a still in some elements Metal Gear game, but also it's different in its gameplay, but has touches upon similar themes as the previous games have.
Yeah, it's like Metal Gear Solid meets Afro Samurai meets Ninja Gaiden, where it's like this excellent combination of of Metal Gear universe and sort of sensibilities, Ninja Raiden's kind of sword play, and then you have the Afro Samurai kind of cut anything that you want sort of ability in it.
Most definitely, it was. It really got me questioning myself. Am I losing it? Am I not good at games anymore after that boss?
And I know this won't be a popular opinion, but I gotta say, after playing Revengeance, I actually prefer Raiden over Solid Snake now. And I'm not sure about Big Boss, but I definitely have to say that Raiden edges out Solid Snake in terms of character development, because I think that just how Raiden grows as a character is much more interesting than anything that Solid Snake has done. As a character, not in terms of the storyline.
Right, I see where you're coming from on that. It's just, it's tomato.
I know I'm going to be getting flaming bags of dog poo hurled at my door soon, so I'll make sure to just end that now.
No, yeah, I hear you. I can see where you're coming from with that. I gotta replay those games to kind of get a good objective and subjective idea about it. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that. It definitely got me a bit more on the Raiden side than I initially was in with like Metal Gear Solid 2. That was a big troll of a game.
I mean, I don't get it. Like this and Halo 2 have proven, if you want people to really receive your game well, don't advertise the game as one thing, and then the majority of it is you playing another character in another storyline that was never even hinted at. Where it's like, okay, if it's a sub-storyline, I guess, then people are willing to accept that. But if you advertise Master Chief or Solid Snake in their respective games, you give them Master Chief or Solid Snake, and you don't really just have Arbiter and Raiden, being the guys who are taking most of the spotlight.
Yeah, I wasn't there when that game originally came out, so I couldn't give an opinion on how I would have felt if I purchased that game knowing one thing and then just got another. What really got to me was just whatever I wanted to say, I had to sit through like a good 10 to 15 minute conversation with Rose just so I could save. And I'm one just to absorb everything. I don't like skipping any dialogue just because I want to get everything I can out of the game. It's like, God damn, I gotta go to the bathroom and I gotta sit through these cutscenes. God damn it. Just want to save.
Well, fortunately, it's not. Rising isn't like 12 hours of cutscenes where it's like, oh man, come on! You just explained to me what was it? The signing of the Declaration of Independence, and we haven't even gotten to the middle of the 20th century. Come on, you can do it, Kojima. Just a little bit more. Let's get some exposition out there.
It's like history class, damn it.
And that's really it for me on the news end. There's a question, and the announcing of the contest winner is the only thing I've got left on this side.
Yeah, I think that'd be an appropriate way to go through here and just go through the questions and end the show with the contest winner. I guess I could just bring up quickly.
Hello.
Yes. Yellow.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hi. I don't know what my internet connection is doing. It's
probably mine.
apparently we're coming in at different times. I don't know why it's taking so long for this to cycle on out, but let's give it a moment.
It's a weird delay.
Okay, I think...
Did you just get it?
No, I don't... Damn it, I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, groovy. Let me just go on over to the submit side of things so that we can answer the question, and we'll go on to the contest. How's that sound?
Yeah, not a problem. While you're doing that, I'll quickly mention that I play a little bit of Tex Murphy, Under the Killing Moon. Got that from Good Old Games, and I tried to record Let's Play for that. I was actually really interested in doing that, but for some reason I was having issue recording it. It was a lot of, even for an older game, for some reason it was having issues. I guess because it's running off a kind of a DOS box emulation. So because that game came out pretty early on in the computer cycle there, and so I'm just enjoying it offhand there without recording anything. But yeah, it was. I'm digging.
I don't want to spoil. I'm sorry. What was the name of the name of the game?
Tex Murphy, Under the Killing Moon.
Is that a point and click?
It's a point and click FMV game.
Ooh, very nice.
So,
full motion video.
Yeah, full motion. The game makes me laugh. I don't know if it's intentionally or unintentionally. Just a lot of the superb acting by these side characters you meet in the streets, and just it's.
Well, it was that time in the mid to early to mid '90s where I was like, okay, we can't really. No actor really wants to do video games, so we'll get like the C rank actors who are still in school to come on over and then act in here, and that's where we start from, humble beginnings, and without them we wouldn't have gotten the classics that are Resident Evil, where it's like you almost were a Jill sandwich in there. It's like, oh god, you blessed writers.
Jill Valentine. Chris Redfield. Kind of sounded like a Grindhouse film when it started. That intro. That's one of I brought it up before. That's that intro for that game. I always like to watch. It makes me feel very very gleeful.
Yes. It's cheesy, but it seems to know the right level of cheesiness where it's like, oh, this is awesome, and not trying to like make it so overtly referencing kind of grindhouse cheap 80s action horror films that that's like, okay, we get it. It's a grindhouse film, but they got the right combination of that in that game.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Tex Murphy for his cheesiness. It's the main reason I'm still playing it, because the story with each, I guess, as each day has a different case, so it's always get these little interesting inner monologues with the character when you're selecting items or clicking on something when it gives you more info, like point and click adventure, and just those are pretty interesting to listen to, and some of the just funny and cheesy, terribly acted FMVs are the ones I strive for, and that's what I kind of like about it. I heard it gets a bit better after that one with the sequel to that. I mean, I know the main actor who is not really that great of an actor, but he actually got, from what I've heard, got a little bit better in the sequel to that game, as playing the Tex Murphy character is kind of this noir futuristic game of with there's a lot of these kind of mutants, kind of these irradiated some of the people are have radiation, so it's you'll end up meeting a couple. It's a little bit like a Blade Runner, but it's cheesiness in a way. But I'm digging it.
Excellent. So Tex Murphy, I'm going to put that up on the Good Old Games wish list and add that to. I hope there's a Mac version of it, just because there aren't too many Mac ports for the kind of the big games on Good Old Games.
There's a Mac version.
Oh, okay, cool, excellent.
I would say I'm 70% positive about it. So there's always that other percent chance I might be wrong.
I don't want to ruin anything, but there is another game that I'm playing that I might do a Let's Play or I might do a review of, because it is... I'll just say that it's so interesting that I want to share the experience with everybody.
Yes, we didn't mention that you're doing some Let's Plays. I have seen the couple of ones you posted, the one for Devil May Cry and the Crimson Skies. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I posted one of your videos up on the Blade Thumbs group page just to get some people some CH action for some Let's Plays.
Thank you kindly. I highly appreciate that. I always love to... I was wondering if I did Let's Plays right, because I don't know if I should show cutscenes, or should I just skip them, or should I talk over the dialogue, because I'm not sure if people are really interested in Let's Plays to see the gameplay, or the dialogue, or the commentary, or, what combination.
Yeah, that's a good question there. It would depend. If it's a pretty older game or something that's relatively new, I probably would let the cutscenes play out. But if it's something like, I guess like Devil May Cry, I mean, I probably still let it play. I mean, I'm mostly interested in what the kind of let's players say, talking about, rather than the kind of actual game. But a good blend of both is pretty interesting. It's just it depends. I do videos here and there, but I can't say that I am a master of what works and what doesn't. It just use your own good judgment on it.
I got you. You're still figuring this out as time goes by,
How's the upload time on those? I would imagine it would be pretty lengthy. I don't know how fast your upload speed is.
Because it's the connection here on campus is pretty fast, especially since it's wired into the laptop. So I'd say maybe 8 to 10 minutes for a 10 to 12 minute piece of gameplay.
That's not bad. I think that's probably a lot better than my upload speed, to be honest with you.
It always varies, because for some reason it will work on some cases. Sometimes it'll take longer. It's fickle, very fickle in temperament.
Yeah, just a lot of trial and error with Let's Plays. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to checking out some more.
Thank you. I look forward to posting them up. And speaking of things I'm looking forward to, how about I look forward to reading the answer from Steve Rome? Whoa! And so he says, what do you guys think of season pass for games? Is it worth getting it for certain games, and is it a little bit cheaper?
Yeah.
So he's asking, what do you guys think of season pass for games? Is it worth getting for certain games, or is it a little bit cheaper in the long run, I guess is what he's saying?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they advertise it in a way where you'll end up spending less, I guess, if you get into the season passes rather than purchasing the DLC individually. It probably is the case sometimes, but I never have purchased the season pass, really. I never felt enticed to or anything. I know there's been ones where I almost did, like I think it was one for LA Noire, but I didn't go through with it. And I know the ones that are, they're ones that are usually available for like third-person shooters, like Gears of War or just other games. But yeah, I can't say I personally have gone into the season pass, so I don't have much of an opinion to really add to that. But I guess it varies. It just depends. If it's something like a fighting game, I think probably season pass would be beneficial, because if they release these additional characters over time, it probably will end up saving you a little bit less than if you bought them individually. But it really depends. I can't attest to it personally, because I never have purchased any season passes.
I gotcha. I'm in the same boat. I've never purchased a season pass for games, just because I think around that time I started getting really jaded with a lot of the DLC stuff, and a lot of it was really cosmetic and didn't make any sense. And one of the big ones that I was really surprised at was Saints Row the Third, because all of it seemed to be this really, I don't know, unimportant sort of grafted on DLC that seemed like, oh, this stuff should have been incorporated into the main game, but we'll break it up and spread on over a couple of weeks just to get people to come back and interested in the season pass. And I don't really see a reason for it. The only one that's really an exception right now is Bioshock Infinite, because I'm really interested to see what they do for the DLC, because it's freaking Irrational Games doing a Bioshock DLC, a single player DLC stuff. So I'm very, very happy to see what they're up to. And I think maybe it will be even cheaper if you wait for a game to come out, and if it's well reviewed, then more likely than not they'll have DLC for it. And then maybe if you just want to hold off for a little bit longer, I'm sure they'll have a Game of the Year edition if it's really, really well reviewed, and all the maps and custom costumes and other DLC stuff will be a part of it, like they're doing with Mass Effect 3 and all the a lot of big games of the year. Like they did that for Mass Effect 2, and they've done that with Halo. I believe they've done that with Halo Reach, and it's. I don't understand. Like, I think it's a bit cheaper to actually just do pick and choose, because you're not going to want everything that they have. Maybe you're not going to want everything they have on the docket of stuff for being released. Like Fallout 3, you're not going to want all of the. Like, for me, I saw some of the Fallout 3 stuff, and I didn't want all of the downloadable stuff. I didn't want the Detroit one. I wasn't really a big fan of what I could see of the. I don't know. It's like the Southern Hillbilly one, where it was like expanding that territory. So it's just it's kind of, and also the Skyrim stuff, like you can make your own home and adopt children, and like with that, like I wasn't really interested in that. So just picking and choosing, I think, is a wiser option.
Yeah, that seems to be the way to go. Personally, yeah, that's probably what I would do. Either that, like you mentioned, hold out if you really want to hold out for a Game of the Year edition. If it's something that you're interested in playing, but not something that you want to get right away, you probably can hold off a little longer. That is a good example there. If you get the Fallout New Vegas Game of the Year stuff, I think it has all the DLC for that, and it's I think around $30 or $40, so it's not too bad.
So let's go on over to the Bloody Thumbs podcast contest. Yes, indeed. It's the magical contest that we've been hinting at for a long time now, and the winner of the contest for 3 video games are, or whatever the hell I promised last time. I'm not really sure. I really should write this down, but I don't do that because I'm fairly lazy, and I'll talk to the winner about it. But so anyway, let's get some drum roll, please. It's none other than Steve Rome. Congratulations, you have won the contest. The character who we used for the obscure character contest was a Bobo from Double Dragon. So we are looking forward to having, or I am looking forward to discussing with you and talking about your prize winnings. And so just message me quietly, and I will actually message you and tell you that you've won. And I'm looking forward to sending out those gifts.
Man, what a fantastic contest here. Good to see its resolution there, that the rightful contest winner will receive exclusive VIP access to Hawaii. Is this the prize that we're talking about?
No. I did not say that. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is lying here. I don't know him. He's lying.
No expense paid. Cruise.
What? Stop it. I'm not that rich. What are you doing this? Come on, Splinter. Come on, don't do this.
Oh, man.
But, anywho, yeah, that's the contest, and I think we still have a few more prizes and whatnot. But do we want to have this another contest going on right now, or discuss this later?
Yeah, we have another. We'll have another contest going on. I'll most likely, once I get everything figured out, I'll definitely announce it on the next one, and we'll on my end I'll give away some of the prizes that I mentioned briefly prior podcast that I will give away. So a couple of digital copies of some movies, and who knows, maybe a mystery prize. You'll have to tune in to the very next episode.
Well, excellent. I know I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Yes, no exceptions.
No exceptions, none whatsoever. And thank you everyone for sending in your suggestions and participation. And we hope. And if you want to get more prizes and gifts, just keep an eye out for another contest, and submit. You keep an eye out for the next contest on Bloody Thumbs, and you too can be a winner. Good sir, winner, chicken dinner. Good night, folks. And speaking of good night, folks, I think it is time for me to probably head on off right now. It's not too late, but I got a little bit of work to do. But then, but I certainly enjoyed the hell out of tonight, and I think this is probably a good time to wrap up.
Yeah, definitely a good time to wrap up. We've kind of covered what we needed to cover, just to cover for lost time, and bring up little tidbits of news in here and there, but mainly just discussions of what we've been playing, and a little bit of some discussions in terms of some of the comments made about Bioshock and its all-out violence there, and a variety of other things that I think was interesting to speak about there. And we got the contest out of the way there, and moving on to the next portion of the contest, which is going to be some of the stuff I'll give away on my end, and I'll work on what exactly the stipulations are for that one. Whether it could be a picture, it could be a question, it could be a variety of things. It could be
an essay. So get those pens and pencils ready.
Yes, an essay on foreign policy.
I know I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Exactly. You're not exempt from this contest. Even CH could win this prize.
Who knows? I would also abuse this like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac abused the banking system. So who knows?
Anything can happen. So yes, thank you everyone for listening. You can check us out on the good old iTunes. Always updated there with the recent episodes and the past ones. It's certainly is turning into a nice big catalog of our past episodes. Not every single one of them is up there, but it's it's a good portion of what we've done is up there so far, and you can always download them from there, or the archives on the, I believe it's mediafire.com/Bloody Thumbs. There's another good section there of the chunks of episodes we've done that are up there. So just for archival purposes, in case the apocalypse happens, we have some archives there to prove that this podcast ruled the world, and send out just propaganda of how great this podcast is.
Our followers shall be numerous. They'll blot out the sun.
I'm gonna have my own radio station in Nuketown or whatever that place was called in Fallout, and I'm gonna be
Splinter Dog.
Woo! That's right.
Yes.
Cats.
I'll make sure that my descendants try to listen in every week.
Yes, I couldn't ask for anything more. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Splinter47, and you're at ch_Gorog.
Yep.
We already covered the iTunes feed. Check out our good old associates over at the BGB.com, Better Gaming Bureau. You can Google them that way to locate them, and Google us as well to find us. Our group page, our iTunes feed, the Twitter feeds, any other feeds.
Our trough feeds, our Need for Speed feeds, our just anything that you can find us on. We are certainly happy to have you there.
Yeah, keep it locked for the next one.
Absolutely, can't wait.
So thank everyone for listening. This has been episode 132 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. I'm Splinter47 signing off.
And I am CH Gorog. Goodbye, everybody.